So Amazon's announcing a new Kindle today. What do you want to know about it?
Nothing.
Why not?
I have a great Kindle.
What's your Kindle?
I have an Oasis.
Why aren't you interested in a new basic Kindle?
Because I don't want to change my Kindle ever.
This one's smaller and lighter.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested.
That's all you need to know.
That's all I need to know.
All right, I'll be talking
Smaller, lighter. Good.
I'll be talking for 40 minutes if you want any more details.
Okay. Good luck.
Hello, this is Len Edgerly for the Kindle Chronicles podcast, and this is a special episode coming to you from Ocean Park, Maine, on Tuesday, September 13th. By the way, I'm returning to the numbering of these episodes from the beginning. So this is TKC 697, and I had the Season 2 idea last summer. It was a good way to wean myself from the weekly podcast, but now I'm back to starting from the beginning, which means in 3 episodes we'll have episode 700. That'll be fun. So I'm recording now at 7:20 a.m. Eastern Time, which means that in an hour and a half, the embargo is going to go off on a press release, which I received from Amazon announcing a new Kindle. So it's going to be 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 9 a.m. Eastern Time is when the embargo went off. Without keeping you in any more suspense, I would like to introduce my guest for the show to you. It's not a human, it's not a robot, but exciting enough for anyone who has followed the Kindle Chronicles since my first show on July 26, 2008. It is a brand new Kindle. If I were to give him or her or them a name, it would be 11, because that's, what is that? That's the show Stranger Things. There's a really key character, and her name is 11. Maybe their name is 11. But anyway, Amazon is announcing the 11th generation of its basic Kindle, the smallest, lightest Kindle of them all, available for pre-order today, September 13th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and then the shipping, they'll be arriving October 12th. So if you order one today, you should be getting yours on October 12th. And if you want to get right on it in case they run out, which they seldom do anymore these days, I'd recommend going to Amazon.com/Kindle and putting your order in if that's what you'd like to do. So the new Kindle is priced at $100, $99.99. I just round up a penny for these things. It's easier to handle. It's priced at $100, and there is a Kindle Kids edition available for $120. In each case, the Kindle itself weighs 5.57 ounces, and that's a half ounce lighter than the 10th generation Kindle, which was released in 2019. 11 is just a little smaller on each of its dimensions, 6.2 inches tall compared with 6.3 inches for the previous Kindle, 4.3 inches wide compared with 4.5 inches, and 0.32 inches deep compared with 0.34 inches. 4 things are bigger about 11 than the previous model. First is the storage, 16 gigabytes compared with 8 gigabytes. Second is the screen resolution, 300 pixels per inch compared with 167 ppi, and that's 3 times more pixels, the release says. Third is battery life, up to 6 weeks of charge compared with 4. Your results may vary if you listen to the show, because the battery life estimate is based on reading just 30 minutes a day. That's not a heavy reader. But if you only read 30 minutes a day, this new Kindle will hold charge for 6 weeks of reading. And then the fourth is the price, $100 for the ad-supported 11 compared with $90 for the 10th generation Kindle. 11 also sports a USB-C port for charging and transferring files compared with the micro USB on the previous mode. I think that's a benefit. Most of my stuff these days seems to run on that USB-C connection, so to have to find a cable that has the micro USB is kind of a pain in the neck. I'm glad to see that. It also has adjustable front lighting and a dark mode. It comes available in black or denim colors. I think I'll probably order the denim. That sounds cool. And then new fabric covers for the Kindle will be available in black, rose, denim, and dark emerald. Some nice colors coming. I have requested from Amazon a review unit of the new Kindle, which will enable me to tell you more about it in advance of the October 16th shipping date. Maybe I'll be able to put up a comparison video on YouTube. But for now, I thought it'd be fun to back up and tell you the story of how this news came to me, and then I'll tell you what I think in more general terms about it. So 3 days ago here in Ocean Park, I received an email just before noon from the Outcast agency. That's a PR firm that has organized most of the Kindle-related events that I've attended over the years. It was from Madvev Dutt, D-U-T-T, who goes by he, him pronouns, and it read as follows. Hi, Len. Good morning. We have some news that we'd love to share with you related to Amazon's devices and services business. Can you agree to an embargo of September 13th at 6 a.m. PT? By agreeing to the embargo, you acknowledge that the information provided is Amazon confidential information and that you cannot use or disclose the information unless and until Amazon releases the information. Once you agree, we'll be able to share more details. Let me know if you are interested and agree to the embargo. Thank you, Medev. Well, it took me 8 minutes to get back to Medev, and my response was, yes, exclamation mark, I agree to the embargo. Thanks, Medev. Then he sent me back an email that had the press release and then some photos and things which I'll use in the show notes. In bright red ink at the top, it reads, under embargo until September 13 at 6 a.m. PT. I'll have a link to the full press release in the show notes at thekindlechronicles.com. And if you are subscribed to my free Kindle Chronicles email list, you will have received it in the mail that I'm going to be sending out right at 9 as well. And you can sign up for that email list at thekindlechronicles.com. It's free. I use it to send out alerts when the new episode is up and if there's some kind of special news. So let's take a walk through the release. These press releases are prepared very carefully. It's also fun to realize that when Amazon comes up with a new project like a new Kindle, someone has to make the case for it. And one part of it is a 6-page memo that is read in silence by the people at the meeting. And from what I understand, usually there's a mock press release that says, okay, if we do this project or service, this is what the press release will say. And so I wonder if whoever wrote the mock press release can recognize it in what's coming out today. The headline is Introducing Kindle and Kindle Kids, now with 300 ppi high-resolution display, USB-C charging, and 2 times storage. These press releases are smart because there's the top headline and then there's some subheads, kind of the executive summary highlighting the most important parts. They've clearly settled on the lightest and most compact Kindle as the tagline and stressing the price. The Kindle Kids version comes with a kid-friendly cover, 1 year of Amazon Kids that provides unlimited access to thousands of age-appropriate books, and a 2-year worry-free guarantee, and that's for $120. That worry-free guarantee, I think, if the dog eats the Kindle or, they just replace it, it's sort of a Amazon understanding that when kids are using a device, things can happen. So for an extra $20, you can get covered for them. Also, there is a free 4-month Kindle Unlimited membership that's included with the Kindle for a limited time, and that offers access to over 2 million titles, thousands of audiobooks, and more. I'm finding that's more and more useful these days. I come across books that I just want to read, and whoa, that one's free. I can, as long as I have 10 or fewer books in my borrowed section from Kindle Unlimited, I do a fair amount of free reading for that. Whatever it costs a month. I can't remember what that costs a month, but whatever it is, it seems like a good deal. So this is dated September 13th, Dateline Seattle, and it says that we're introducing the lightest and smallest Kindle, combines premium features at an affordable price, and it can contain thousands of books with 16 gigabytes, twice the storage of the Generation 10. This made me do a little research yesterday when I was working on this. The first generation Kindle was released on November 19th, 2007. It sold out in 5.5 hours. It was priced at $399, and it had a whopping 250 megabytes of storage. So in 11 Kindle generations, the storage has increased 64-fold, the weight has decreased by half, and the price has fallen 75%. And never mind the advantages of front lighting, increased screen resolution, speed, touch screen, and leaving behind that really strange scroll wheel that we used to control the original Kindle, and also the necessity to have a paperclip nearby to restart it. I think I still got mine somewhere in the archives. I've got that original Kindle that I bought, and I started the podcast within a year of the release of the Kindle. The press release continues that same features come with Kindle Kids, but you get that 1-year subscription to Kindle Kids Plus. And then there's a quote from a guy who's been on the show at least once, maybe twice, Kevin Keith, Vice President of Amazon Devices and Services. He says in the release, with a high-resolution display that delivers 3 times more pixels than our previous base Kindle, USB-C charging, 16 gigabytes of storage, and built-in adjustable front light, the new ultra-light Kindle is the latest example of how we continue to bring premium features to our entry-level devices for even more customers to enjoy. That's fair. I think they're, what do we get, a half an ounce off the weight of the Generation 10. What is he saying there? That makes it the ultralight Kindle. Well, it's not easy to trim a half an ounce off a device like this. It's already, weighs half as much as the original one. So, let's call it ultralight until the next time they figure out a way to shave a third of an ounce from it. But then I think the more philosophical point that's embedded here is the commitment to continue to bring premium features to entry-level devices for even more customers to enjoy. And, this is the cheapest Kindle. You can buy an Oasis for $250. This is $100. And it's not being orphaned. It's not just sitting there for people to buy, and the people who can only afford the cheapest Kindle, well, this is a good Kindle. This is good enough. We've updated it 3 years ago. And the Paperwhite is certainly the Kindle which is the most popular, for another $40, I think, over this price. But here they are. Obviously, the Lab 126 team has been working on this and come out with a whole new basic Kindle, which spreads the ability of people to read this way somewhat further than was the case before. Kevin Keith continues, and since we launched Kindle Kids 3 years ago, kids have logged nearly 3 billion minutes reading on Kindle devices. The new Kindle Kids provides an even better reading experience to help kids become lifelong readers. A lot of focus on kids reading with the Kindle, and these kids editions. My grandsons Ryan and Jake, I think they're basically still reading paper books, and they love them, and I love them reading paper books. I might have a conversation with my daughter Rue to see what she would think about my ordering a couple of these Kindle Kids versions of the basic Kindle. And especially Jake, the 8-year-old, he might just start tearing through things that he finds on there with a Kindle Kids subscription. I know my 16-year-old grandson James, when he was their age, he was a voracious reader, and the Kindle was just a portal to him for more books than my daughter Sarah could keep up with ordering on paper. So we'll see. But the kids' angle on this is significant, and I'm glad to see it's mentioned here in the release. I reached out to Matt to see if he might be able to arrange an interview with Kevin Keith and to talk about the new models. And Medev replied, "Unfortunately, Kevin isn't available for an interview next week, but we'll circle back to schedule an interview in the upcoming weeks." Well, I hope that happens, because I remember Kevin as being a particularly articulate and engaging member of the Kindle team when he was on 5 years ago. I think I interviewed him down in New York, and it'd be fun just to see what he's been doing in the last 5 years, and also to talk about this device. So I'll put a tickler in my calendar to circle back in a few weeks to see. It'd be great to talk to him before the Kindle ships, and it sounds like there's at least a possibility of that. And also, Medev said I'm on the list to get a review copy. The release continues, talking about the display. It's a all-new 6-inch glare-free display. I'm not sure. I think the previous one was the Carta e-ink display, so this one might be the latest technology from e-ink. We've talked about the 300 ppi high resolution, more pixels for laser-quality text and sharp images that read like paper. I think this thing is going to look fantastic. The light, I suspect there's no specifications here on how many of the LED lights this is going to have compared with the Paperwhite. I suspect it'll be fewer, so in some settings where you're depending on the light, the Paperwhite might have some advantages. And then all the regular devices that any of the Kindles have, the X-ray, which I use all the time to track characters in a book, and then the dictionary lookup, translation, that's always pretty cool. Now, there's something here that appears new to me. It says, simplified setup on the Kindle app for iOS and Android offers an option to register your device in fewer steps and to jump into a book even faster. So I've always registered my new Kindles from the Kindle itself, and it's pretty easy to do. But if you've got the Kindle app on your phone and you have one of the new Kindles, I guess there's sort of a speedier way to get it up and running. As I was talking to you just now, I thought, I'm taking this language about the lightest Kindle not as precisely as I'm sure it's written, because I just checked, and the weight of the Oasis, which is the $250 top-of-the-line Kindle that Darlene has, as you heard, that's only 4.6 ounces. So that is still the lightest Kindle compared with the, 5.57 ounces of the new Kindle. Is that worth paying $150 more than this Kindle? I don't know. But I don't think I'll get Darlene to switch, that's for sure. So let me scroll back to where we were, talking about the lightest and most compact Kindle. More for young readers. Latest. Now, the Kindle Kids, I think it's $4.99 a month, but I think it's $2.99 a month for Prime members, and it's kind of like Kindle Unlimited, but it's curated for kids. It says it has latest hits and award winners, explore popular titles like Divergent, Artemis Fowl, and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I've heard of that via Jake and Ryan. Books from series like Big Nate, Percy Jackson, Enchanted Forest Chronicles, and Harry Potter, and titles that have won the Newbery Medal, Coretta Scott King Award, Children's Choice Award, and others. And you can also add books from your library to your child's library, and also you can switch between Audible versions of a book and the book on the Kindle. There is a parent dashboard for Kindle Kids, and that provides complete control for parents to set reading and bedtime schedules. There was one reference here to one of those to the series by Mark Cheverton that I did the interview with Jake on here. That's apparently part of the Kindle Kids as well. Sustainability, always a big thing at Amazon. Both of these devices, the kids with the covers, were built with 90% recycled magnesium, 100% recyclable by 2023, for the first time ever, Kindle device packaging is 100% recyclable in the U.S. It's made of 100% wood fiber-based materials from responsibly managed forests or recycled sources, and the accessory covers follow suit with packaging made from 99% wood fiber-based materials. $119.99. I think the Kindle Kids just comes in black. I wonder how that works. I guess if you get the regular one, I'll have to ask Madvev on that. But I thought the colors were black and denim, but if you get a Kindle Kids, maybe it's only black. Amazon always puts a paragraph at the end of their press releases. And, you think, well, they're just sort of tooting their own horns here. But I read it carefully this time, and there was something new, which I think is significant. It says about Amazon. Amazon is guided by 4 principles: customer obsession rather than competitor focus. We've talked about that a lot. Passion for invention, check. Commitment to operational excellence, check. And long-term thinking. Jeff Bezos is one of the people behind the 10,000-year clock, which I heard Stuart Brand talking about in an excellent documentary that's on Apple TV. I mentioned that in the Morning Journal today. But here's the new thing. Amazon strives to be Earth's most customer-centric company, Earth's best employer, and Earth's safest place to work. Now, those are the exact words that were in Jeff Bezos' last letter to stockholders as the CEO. I think that was a couple of years now. And in that, he said these were going to become things that he worked on in his chair emeritus, or whatever they're calling him. And now they're at the bottom of every press release, right up there with most customer-centric company. Adding those employee missions or visions, Earth's best employer and Earth's safest place to work, I think that they're serious about that. And yes, it did arise in the wake of the close union election. It was before the union was elected at a warehouse facility in Staten Island. So Amazon is trying to stay ahead of the unions, possibly. But I think Jeff Bezos has got a bigger picture than that. And I had a conversation with a guy who is going to marry one of my cousin's daughters, Emily, who's a labor expert in New York. And he and I were talking about Amazon kind of warily. I think he probably sees Amazon as definitely the other side from, the union folk that he works with regularly. But I said, sometimes I think Jeff Bezos might shock people by making some kind of agreement with this new Amazon union that was formed, doing something that's good for the labor movement, good for Amazon, creative, innovative, and kind of moves things forward in a way that some of the more traditional unions wouldn't be able to. He said, yeah, I could see that. So that's something to watch for as long as Jeff Bezos, as innovative a thinker as he is really focusing on these 2 new visions, best employer, safest place to work. We know that he has a long attention span. And when you apply that level of resources, intelligence, and long-term thinking to something like creating a company that's a really good employer, I think you can expect there to be results. And I look forward to keeping an eye on that one as we go forward. So that's the press release. And what I think about it, well, I kind of miss the days when a new Kindle model meant a trip to New York or even Seattle or to cover or, for the second generation Kindle, Stephen King joined Jeff Bezos at the launch and released a story made for the device. I didn't have a chance to attend that one, but I enjoyed seeing the video afterward. And the truth is, it's no mean feat to keep improving this device that has revolutionized reading around the world. And I certainly applaud Amazon for continuing to invest engineering and innovation in the Kindle family. And I'm excited to see this 11th generation make its debut. I can't wait to get my hands on it. I'll be interested to compare the 11, the new basic Kindle, with the Paperwhite which is also Paperwhite 11. That's the one I've been using all summer, and I just love it. I love the feel of it. Everything about it is pleasing to me. I have it in a nice leatherish case that can form a stand on a desk. And Darlene loves her Oasis. But the Paperwhite, as I said, I think that's the most popular version of the Kindle at this point. It costs $40 more than the new basic Kindle. It has a slightly larger screen, 6.8 inches on the diagonal compared with 6 for the basic Kindle. And the new lighter Kindle weighs 1.66 ounces less than the Paperwhite, so that's an advantage. The basic Kindle's a little lighter. I think I'll probably stick with the Paperwhite, but I love smaller and lighter and also newer. And the Paperwhite 11 was released 2 years ago next month. I don't know. It's still great, but 2 years is 2 years. I have become a person who seems to think it's important to buy the latest Tesla every 2 or 3 years, which that's another story. I think there's plenty more to invent for the Kindle. My dream includes being able to talk to my e-ink Kindle the way I can to the Kindle app for iOS on my iPhone or iPad. That would be a big help in adding a note to a highlight. It's really pretty cumbersome when I'm reading the Paperwhite and I want to make a note, especially if I'm reading something to prepare for an interview. You know, you're tapping this tiny keyboard, and there is autofill. So if you tap sort of mindfully, and the short words are all going to show up. So it's as fast as it can be. But it'd be so nice to say, okay, highlight a passage, tap note, and then just start talking and dictate what I want that note to say. I think I'd do a lot more notes, and the device would be a great deal more useful to me. I'm sure that's an engineering challenge, because to get the e-ink screen to recognize voice that quickly is got to be a different challenge than a regular tablet screen. But that's something I'd love to see. And of course, I'm still hoping for a Kindle that would outdo the remarkable tablet, which is got an e-ink screen, and you can write on it with a stylus. That's what I use whenever I'm doing sort of analytical work with numbers. I tell my mind, okay, we're going to be working in the left side of the brain here. Let's go get that black and white tablet that has a really cool pencil on it. That's the one I've thought, if Amazon were to come out with a full-size Kindle that you could write on, let's call it the Kindle Scribe. I just think that'd be a great name. But I hope there are going to be many more generations of the Kindle. I look forward to receiving embargoed news releases so I can be among the first to tell you about them. As an old-time reporter, there's nothing that makes my day more than seeing an email that invites me to get an embargoed news release. And it's kind of like getting an ARC, an advanced reader copy of a book that I'm going to interview or talk to the author about. But it's a real treat to just be in the pipeline for this early news and to think about it, and especially if I can get a review copy. Late breaking family news. I just got a call from my daughter Ruth. She was in the car after dropping the kids at school, but she says she's very interested in getting these Kindle for Kids for Jake and Ryan, and then especially thinking about Audible synchronization with some books and maybe the Kindle Kids. So the door's open for my being a Kindle Johnny Appleseed for my youngest grandsons, and that's going to be fun in the coming weeks. That's it for episode 697 of the Kindle Chronicles, emanating from the desk where I started the show 13 plus years ago here at Ocean Park, looking out at the ocean on a gray day. And thanks for joining me, and hope you have a good day. Really appreciate your listening to the podcast. Take care.